Okay, this is day 23 of our recovery, which is coming along fairly nicely. I've got a report here I'm not going to read off completely, but I'm going to hit some high points. It's about a page and a half. Right now we're going to walk down toward the sump, and we're in greenhouse 1, and I see a couple dead fish here. Oso, fish, you want it? Okay, I'm going to give it to Maya. Maya doesn't want it. Oso, turn around here. Oso, come here. He couldn't find a place to turn around. He's a little big. Okay, and I see one more down here. Oops, 2. This is a vat we just processed, and a lot of times that stresses the fish, and there are some losses. Okay, Maya. Great, you dropped it in the water. Little mangy dog. Okay, let me catch it here. Eat it or your brother's going to get it. Okay, I think he's going to get it. Yeah, with the number of fish we have, there are always losses, daily losses. The fish like to walk through. Here's another one. And collect them. Normally we have on a couple 100,000 fish. I suspect we're down. Y'all don't have to eat the fish food. I suspect we're down to around 20 or 30,000 right now, where looks like to me that we've lost 80 to 90% of the fish. But we are saving some of the species and setting up breeding colonies. Like I said, we're in greenhouse 1. And greenhouse 1 function did a lot better than greenhouse 2. I'll go get some of those pellets and we'll show the fish eating. If the dogs don't eat it all. Hey. Okay, they may be a little bit. I see some flicos there. Yeah, some of them are going to come up. They're a little skittish, to be expected. Also, they're remarkably in tune to the people. They respond differently to me than they do to Carl or Susie or Stormy. Maybe because I'm the one that feeds them. There's some nice fish in there, so one of these days we'll have to harvest them. In this greenhouse, quite a few cichlids made it. What I don't see are any of the New World cichlids. Did you almost step in?
I almost tripped over the cord to the top.
Okay. I don't see any of the Central and South American cichlids that I normally see in here, so they may have taken more of a hit than the Africans. In greenhouse 2, which we'll go over and look at in a little bit, there are quite a few mollies and a few cichlids, and I did see one big South American, probably a Herichthys carpentis, which isn't that big of a surprise. We did have 7 of those survive in a 55-gallon vat. They are actually in a 110-gallon vat in greenhouse 2. They range up to the Rio Grande River, almost into Texas, and that part of Mexico gets pretty cold, so it's not surprising to me that they made it. What did surprise me is so far I've not seen a single live convict cichlid. We had multiple color strains that we were working on. I had a strain of almost solid orange pink females. Looks like we lost them. I had some really nice red, blue, and green female blacks, and convicts, the females are more colorful than the males. And I was working on color in the males, and then we had a strain of platinum convicts that I was trying to do some genetics testing with them to see whether platinum was the same gene as pink and just had a different modifiers. But they seem to be all gone. I'm hoping that we have a convict or 2 left in the sump somewhere. It also looks like we lost black belt cichlids, probably lost Jack Dempsey's, and probably lost Cyclosoma salvini. We'll see. I haven't seen any, but we haven't gone through everything, and we haven't trapped out of the sumps yet. Okay, let's, well, while we're standing here, let me hit some highlights from what we've done, put on my glasses. This week wasn't quite as productive. I had my second COVID shot on Tuesday, and that knocked me out for a while. Carl's getting ready for a trip with our grandbrats, two of our grandbrats, to a national forest in Texas to do some dirt bike riding. And so we didn't get a lot of stuff done. Also, we did some filming earlier this week, but since Susie was subbing for Carl, we had some technical issues, and some of the films didn't turn out. Okay, what we're pretty sure we've lost is Pseudotrophus damasceni, Maylandia, an aquarium strain, albino zebra, cobalt zebras, Metroclemia kylanos. We lost a couple commercial strains of endlers, blonde lyre tails, orange twin bars. We saved 5 blue lyre tail endlers. I don't know why they made it, the others didn't. And I thought we had a wild collection of endlers from Armando Poe I got years and years ago. And we had probably 1,000 of them. And they were all of our breeders, and all of our sale vat were dead. I thought we'd lost them. Then yesterday morning, I was trying to find some replacement Melanochromis auratus, and I only found 2 juveniles, so we may have lost that species if they don't turn out to be a pair. I've been working on that fish. The females used to be really bright gold and black. I raised them in the early 70s. They were a spectacular early African cichlid, Malawi cichlid, worth a lot of money at that time. Now people kind of look down on them. And most of the females are brownish rather than that bright gold and black. The males are blue and black. I was working on restoring them their earlier glory, and I'm down to 2 fish unless I can find some in the sump. But while I was pulling those out, I found a male and 3 female endlers from Armando's strain. And so I happily was going to set them up in a breeding vat, and I couldn't find the male. I couldn't figure out what had happened, and apparently I dropped him on the floor. He stuck to the net or something, and I stepped on him. But the females are gravid, so I thought that's great. You know, they'll have at least a couple batches of fry from earlier matings. Then this morning, when I went in to look at the bucket that I had netted out the gunk, the mulm on the bottom, and dumped it in a bucket to look for Paramecium, which I want to film, and we're going to try again in a little bit. Lo and behold, there was a male endler in there, so he went to join those 3 females. So we have a breeding colony of endlers now, 1 male and 3 females. That, by the way, is a genetic bottleneck, and that happens all the time in fish in the hobby. Somebody goes to Lake Malawi, collects 100 fish, takes them to the U.S. Some die; they get sold, in pairs or trios. So by the time, and a few people breed them, by the time you're done, you've lost a big chunk of the genetic variation that exists in the wild population. On top of that, it only takes a few generations to select for things that make them good domestic fish. The ability to thrive on the food you feed them, the lack of sunlight, the different water temperatures, and they quickly lose wildness. When we collect wild mollies here, Celia latipena, and I put them in a vat, I never see them. I don't even know if they're in there. They don't come up to eat, but about 3 or 4 generations later, you can run a net through a vat, throw 50 or 60 of them in a 5-gallon bucket with a couple gallons of water, and they're so tame the males look at it as a mating opportunity. The females can't get away from them and they're trying to mate. Domestication occurs very, very rapidly. Okay, so let's see, where was it? We lost the antlers. We probably also, I'm pretty sure we lost the convicts, the black belts, and all of our ancestors. We had regular ancestors, albino, long-finned ancestors, long-finned albino breeders. Hundreds of them gone. I don't think a single ancestor's made it. I have hopes. There were feral ones in the floor gutter and sump here in Greenhouse 1, and since Greenhouse 1 apparently stayed a little bit warmer, I think there might possibly be some here. The reason it stayed warmer is that Greenhouse 2 and 3 share a sump, and there's more water and more surface area, and we weren't able to heat Greenhouse 3 even though we're running water through there. We should have abandoned Greenhouse 3. We waited until the 3rd day to abandon it, and I netted out as many fish as I could, dumped them into the sump and 2, but we had to let everybody else in there die in order to save 2. We probably should have done that day 1 and we would have been better off. But hindsight's great. Foresight isn't. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's another fish. You want it, Oso? Oso appreciates very expensive sushi. Let's see any other interesting ones in here. Some of our cichlids, we were down to 11 Alanacaros, Stuart Grante, and Benji blue regals. We put them in a breeding colony. Down to 2, we have 2 strains of Psittacara morii, the blue dolphin cichlid, the one that came from a customer of ours, a fish gallery in Houston. We're down to 3 of those. Carl's looking at my attempt to root fig cuttings, and it seems to be working. They're sprouting good. I have to check to see if they have roots. We're down to 3 fish in that strain, 2 males. One male's atypical. He has a yellow belly instead of his blue, so I set him aside. I may give him some other females later. I think the 3rd one is a female. I set them up for breeding just on the off chance that they were. All of our dolphin cichlids took a big hit. We lost our biggest, best males. Libidinochromis ceruleus gold. We're down to 6 adults and about, 20 juveniles. In fact, this is the vat that Carl's filming right now, I think. Nope, that's sky blue peacocks. But, it's 2 over. So we'll rebuild that colony. Nimbichromis polystigma, we're down to 1 male, 4 females, and 27 juveniles. We lost a couple of hundred of those. Black and blue peacock, a strain I'm working on, jet black with bright blue. We're down to 5 fish. Let's see. You might look at older videos. Peacock canary OBs look pretty good. We were able to set up a pretty good breeding colony. Peacock German red, we lost our good breeder males, but we put a couple of young males in. Gold peacocks, we're down to 11 fish, 1 breeder male that actually made it, and 10 younger fish that I think are females, but some of them will probably turn out to be males. There's also, should be a video of peacock lemons. Red OB, this is one of my biggest upsets. We lost a spectacular male. He was in Greenhouse 1. He has some offspring, so I'm hoping to get something out of that. And should have video on sky blue OB peacocks. That's one that Carl was trying to look at there. There's another strain, white fin blue, that I was working on. Only 1 male left. I've got to decide what females to use with him. By the way, gold mystery snails did great. They're everywhere. we haven't gotten to our live bearers yet, except I did some that we were polyculturing, and red swordtails and red lyre-tail swordtails are doing pretty good. A spectacular black sailfin male molly that I'm going to give a whole bunch of females to. He survived greenhouse too, so he's in pretty decent shape in terms of cold resistance. A lot of our commercial mollies have Poecilia latipena genes. That's the native molly that ranges all the way up to Virginia. So it has cold resistance. Unfortunately, the other two sailfin species, Valefra and Petnensis, do not. They die around 55 degrees. Okay, let's take a short break and we'll be back in greenhouse 2. Okay, we're in greenhouse 2. We've completed this row of 300 cichlid breeding vats and set up breeders. We still have that row over there. We've done a couple vats in it, but we still have that one to finish. We were able to rebuild all these breeding colonies with the exception of Pseudotropheus demasoni, which we lost all of. By the way, this is a bucket of hornwort I was pulling out. People want to buy that. Excuse me. Yeah, duckweed. I'm sorry. This is hornwort. This is duckweed. People are asking to buy this. I can't imagine that. I have no idea what to charge for it. These are some 110-gallon vats. We lost most of the fish in them. I've got some Herichthys carpentis in that first one down there. And the next two are cherry shrimp, which did fairly well. And then I've got a couple molly vats that I'm setting up. Maya, move. Maya, move. And I got as far as this vat yesterday. I didn't finish it. And Fred the bullfrog was in it. He got released after we filmed him. The rest of these I still need to go through. They're mostly the smaller breeding colonies of cichlids. Let's go down and look at the sump and see what we've got. As I said earlier, greenhouse 2 took a much bigger hit than 1. While I didn't notice it checking temperatures during the storm, I suspect it got a couple degrees cooler than the other greenhouse. I see some mollies in there. And like I say, I've seen a couple cichlids, but not anything like there should be. And we hauled a lot of fish out of here. I do want to look at some of the mollies. Those ought to be some, I see some good blacks that I need to capture to give to that black sailfin male. One fish I forgot that we lost was Siphotilapia frontosa. We had, I think, somewhere around 130, 140 of them, including a bunch of big breeders. We had two breeding colonies. We lost every one of those. That's a really big fish from Lake Tanganyika, and worth a lot of money. Unfortunately, they became buzzard food. One thing I've noticed, we were having, you see some stuff, some algae hanging off the valves, but right after the storm, had this slick, snot-looking stuff hanging down 3 or 4 inches on each one and coating our pump filters and stuff. And that was basically bacterial colonies growing on the high levels of ammonia. Ammonia spiked at 1 part per million, which is toxic levels. The fish seemed to handle that okay, and it only took about a week for our plant filtration to take it back down to almost 0, where it is right now. So this greenhouse is going to require a lot of restocking on our cichlid breeders. Even those that we lost, most of them we're finding, especially in the peacocks, we're finding that we have enough backup breeders or fish that we were going to sell that we can reconstitute breeding colonies. Unfortunately, not at the levels we like to. Those were ancestral caves that we don't need anymore, that Carl tipped over. We typically like, in a 300 like this, we like to put in 2 or 3 males and 40 to 50 females on about a 3 to 4 month cycle, depending upon time of the year. And at the end of the cycle, we pull out these, and there's a video, I forget which day, but we have a video showing me breaking down one entirely. Go back and look through our videos, you'll find it. And I pull out all the cichlid hotels, the fry cages, net the fish out, siphon it down, get any remaining fish. Then we inventory them, replace, harvest all the little fish. And by that time, at the end of 3 to 4 months, we have some 3-inch youngsters in there. We size sort those, put them in sale vats, go back through what we call our BRUs, breeders unsexed. Those are fish we hold in reserve to replace losses. I tend to favor older females in order to select for longevity. If you have any questions about how that works, shoot me an email, charles@goliadfarms.com, and I'll explain it to you. And that means that in a cycle, we're likely to lose 1 or 2 adult females, and we replace them with younger females then. But because of the losses, most of our breeding colonies are only 20 to 30 females now. So it'll take us a while to recover. We had, before the storm, we still had something like 30 or 40 empty 55-gallon vats because we hadn't fully recovered from Hurricane Harvey. And now we're recovering from this, so it'll be a while before we refill the vats. We're going to have a lot of empty ones, but I'm going to probably raise scuds in them. Since we did a video on scuds, our scud orders have gone up. So I'm going to have to increase scud production. By the way, somebody was complaining that hobbyists don't call them amphipods, and they are scuds, which are actually in the genus Hyalella, are amphipods, are in the family Amphipoda, but there are at least 10,000 species in that family, so it's probably not a very good, very precise term. But if you want to call them amphipods, that's fine with me. Scuds are good. They're also known as Gamerus because that used to be the genus they were in, and it kind of sticks. Those are a few mollies. This is a vat we store larger mystery snails in when we're selling them, and you can see they're busy laying egg cases.
All right, we're going to look at 3.
Yep, we'll head over to 3. Be back in a minute. Okay, we're at the front of Greenhouse 3. We just kind of opened it up, or I did, since Carl and Stormy have these incredibly weak stomachs and could not tolerate the smell, so they couldn't come anywhere close to this. Which meant that what happened, we cut it off, so every fish that I wasn't able to net out and move to Greenhouse 2 died. There actually are a few, I've seen a few live fish in here, but they're probably Gambusia punctata, which is from Cuba and therefore probably a little bit cold resistant, and maybe some mollies. But everything else died. They were gagging before they even got to the door, so I had to go in and get bucket after 5-gallon bucket of fish out and put them in the tractor to haul them off for the buzzards to eat. By the way, buzzards and Mexican eagles still stop by every morning to check to see if there's some fish to eat, but the buffet's closed.
In our defense, we took those buckets and buckets and hauled them down to dump them for the buzzards.
And they threw up.
Yeah, just a little.
So, yeah, weak stomachs.
Oh, that's so bad. If you want, I'll try and get in your truck and move it.
It doesn't matter. We both have to go on a walk past it. I lost my breath when I got to it. I think I'm ready this time.
Deep breath and hold it. Walk fast.
My truck stinks.
Oh no!
My truck stinks. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm not gonna show you throwing up. Oh. Well, this will be a challenge.
You wanna drive my truck, you said?
I'll give it a try.
Oh my god. That's horrible.
All right, you gotta forgive me if I accidentally throw up in it. I'll try not to, but
Leave the window down.
here.
Okay.
Once you collect yourself.
I think I can do this.
All right.
Right? Take a big deep breath. Don't throw up in my truck.
Anyway, so we've cut this off. The water is just in the two gutters is stale. Typically what would happen is water would be running in these faucets, and then there are pipes that took it back into the greenhouse 2 sump, and then pumps that brought it back around here. You can see the scum on top. That's algae and bacteria growing from the high ammonia levels. The reason this greenhouse has these 2 separate sumps was that I happen to have these 2 pond liners available, so instead of buying a big one, I just reuse these 2. We're going to rebuild this greenhouse. Actually, Susie surprised me because she always opposes expansion, and said, well, let's just use this one for plants and horticulture, and we'll add a new one on the other side of greenhouse 1. So I'm down for that. One thing I do want to do is make it about 3 feet taller, put in 3-foot side rails, and have a complete floor gutter, and we'll raise probably scuds and shrimp. We're going to add, we have cherry shrimp now, red cherry shrimp. I want to add a bunch of other colors, and probably more colors of mystery snails. I was surprised at how well those sell. At any rate, when I was in here earlier, there was a bullfrog down there colonizing it, and there should be a video up about Fred the bullfrog too. No, there's Fred the bullfrog too.
Okay, I haven't seen
Yeah, we have Fred the toad. I name everything Fred. All 6 of our kids were called Fred. It was a lot easier than trying to coming up with the right name, because I was usually saying names when they were in trouble. So it was just easier to call him Fred. And so pretty much everything gets to be called Fred now. Fred the toad was set free. He was moving out of his condo in Greenhouse 1. He's back outside right in front of Greenhouse 1, and it should be toad mating season, should start tomorrow. I think the bullfrog is right over there, Carl, behind that vat. I see a ripple. We had a little bit of rain today, and the temperatures are going to go up tomorrow. Prime toad spring break breeding time. And so I expect that. Tonight I should go into Greenhouse 1 and 2 and record the den of the tree frogs singing. They're busy mating right now in the greenhouses. So Fred should find a mate outside Fred the toad. Fred the bullfrog is still in Greenhouse 2. I think he was a tadpole in there. I see him occasionally, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger. And do you have that video yet?
No.
Okay. Get it. Okay. Yeah, I think Susie filmed that, and I don't think she sent it to Carl yet. But it was filmed yesterday. At any rate, this, if Susie sticks with what she said, we will be converting this into growing potted plants and stuff like that, and add another greenhouse to raise shrimp and scuds and snails and some invertebrates and stuff, to free up vats for fish in 1 and 2. And I'll probably, in the new greenhouse 4, I'll probably do some smaller fish, killifish and stuff like that. Some of the plants in here, that's some aridum. It was not too happy from the colder weather. Down there, that taller green plant to the right is a black mangrove. We had one planted out at a pond up by Carl's house in the north pasture, and it looks like it got killed by the freeze. It's a plant that's been gradually expanding its range northward as the climate has warmed. I know that there are still a few flat earthers who think that the climate's not warming, but the data are in. The climate's getting warmer. You might argue about whether man's causing it or not, but clearly the climate is warming. Plants and animals that I used to have to go 250, 300 miles south to see are now resident here. In fact, this year we had a pair of great Kiskadees come here. First time I've seen them here. Don't we have some video of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a video we'll post. One of them got in Greenhouse 2 and was having trouble finding its way out, and we finally caught it and took it out. The next day it came in, it got back in, but it found its way out that time. They apparently like to hang around places that have water. Okay, well, again, if anybody has questions, you can post them on YouTube. And typically, I'd gotten, after answering a lot of comments, I'd finally gotten to the bottom of the file and had everything answered, and then our internet router went out for a couple days this week, and so now I'm behind again. I'm trying to catch up today, but I will try to answer YouTube comments daily. Also, you can email me at charles@Goliad-Farms, and I'm on Facebook as well, and some people ask questions there. Good fish keeping, and look for the Fred the bullfrog video.